Center. Tiff along with the Conference Coach of the Year, 2 years running, head coach Charlie Wade. Team now 1-1 on the season. Team now ranked 4th in the country. And what do you know, Coach? We're going to be doing 6 of these during the regular season here in 2024.
Yeah, I guess I finally guilted Chris into stepping up and giving a few more after he ignored us for a few years. But, no, good to be on, and, let's talk some Warrior Volleyball.
Again, 808-296-1420. You can call, you can text, and for those that are in attendance, we have a lot of people here inside Ruby Tuesday Moanalua. Feel free. Cole has a microphone, and he is in-house, so if you have a question, feel free to ask Coach. But, Coach, first weekend of the season, team is 1-1, had a 3-0 victory on Wednesday, and then the tough 5-setter last week Friday. We can get more into that later on, but just kind of overall thoughts of how the team performed this past week.
Yeah, overall pretty pleased. A lot of question marks going into it. 4 new starters on the floor, and really thought overall I was pretty pleased. Maybe just because I'm getting old and more patient and have raised 3 kids, been doing this a while, but. I really felt coming out of even the loss on Friday that a lot of positive stuff, a lot of stuff to really look at and go, you know what, it's an exciting time for Warrior Volleyball, and we got a lot of good things going on. And so, relatively positive. Like I said, coming out of the weekend, Tread Rosenthal getting out there and really running the offense to a high level. Jakob Telle led the nation in assists per set, and we were among the leaders all year long in hitting percentage. You have been for a long time. We hit for a big number all night. Tread's assists per set were really good, and so really a lot of positive things to take out of the weekend.
Also, can we give a hand for Tread Rosenthal? First week into the season, Big West Conference Freshman of the Week for a guy who didn't start spin serving until he got here to UH this past August.
Yeah, he's really coming on, and obviously had a great night on Wednesday with 21 serves with no errors, and then everything reverts to the mean. Friday night was a little rough, but he's also nursing a shoulder, which is considerably better today than it was on Friday. And when I talked to him, I said, hey, look, with the golf analogy, instead of trying to hit driver every time, you can pull the 5-iron once in a while and put it in play. And he's like, no. Like, he's worked so hard to get to that he was, adamant that he was going to go back there. And I said, there is some situational awareness. Maybe you don't need to hit driver. It's a 120-yard par 3 here. Like, put the driver back in the bag. But he's got such a bright future, and he just works hard every day. We've really made a lot of progress with the shoulder this week. I think it'll feel a lot better, and he is one of many reasons why I believe the program is still in a very kind of ascendant phase, and a lot to be really excited about.
Talking more about Tread Rosenthal, 17-year-old, supposed to still be a senior in high school. For him, when he approached you and said, Coach, I want to reclassify, because in men's volleyball, it really doesn't happen if ever with reclassification. But for him, what was that process for him talking with you about coming into Hawaii volleyball here in 2024?
Yeah, he had committed. So I saw him when he was probably in his sophomore year, and he was actually living in Austin, Texas with his family, but he was commuting up to Chicago and playing on a team, and they kind of ran a 6-2, and he's impressive. And then I saw him that summer with the national team training. My son Kainoa was there, and I'm watching this kid, and at that time he's like 6'6", and just got a motor and going, and I'm like, man, this is an impressive talent. And we jumped up to the top of our list, and when we got an opportunity to talk to him the following year on June 15th is the first time that you can talk to him. Really good, really positive. He texted me within a week of that. I think it was inside the first week, and said, Coach, I've been thinking about this a long time. I want to go to the University of Hawaii, and I want to help you guys win championships. And so he was in, right? And then in October of that year, we went and we played at Irvine, and he drove down. He was living in Manhattan Beach at the time. He'd moved to Southern California to play and train more. And he watched our team play, and he said, I want to play with those guys. And that was Guilherme and Spiros. And he's like, I want to play with those guys. And I'm like, all right. And this is, the kind of post-COVID era. And he realized, you don't have to sit in class to get class done. And he took it upon himself to accelerate his academic progress. He did 2 years of high school in a single year. And here he is as a 17-year-old. My son, who's a junior in high school, who's now 2 years behind him in school, is a week older than him. they're close friends and are going to be great teammates. But we're just stoked that Tread's here. He's going to have a great career, and you couldn't find a nicer kid from a great family. That's, oh, by the way, a really good volleyball player.
And for a guy like Tread, and you mentioned this, he's mentioned this as well. He's come to a couple games, throughout his high school career. He's seen the crowd, and he knew what to expect for the most part, but it's a little different. Bright lights, big city, comes in, season opener, and credit the crowd. Over 4,400 for the season opening match on Wednesday. How awesome was that for you guys?
Yeah, it really was. On a Wednesday night, like that, I would that exceeded my expectations. We're just continue to be, so appreciative and so humbled by the support that we get. We're doing everything we can to keep putting a great product on the floor, to keep getting people to come out and support. We think we're putting on a good show. Friday night came up a little short, but it was still pretty entertaining. It kept you there for a few hours, and it really is amazing. Friday night, it was like 5,500 or something. And what I look at sometimes, too, is the difference between the issued and the turnstile. And I think we were down, like 700. And usually you can see it sometimes be like a couple thousand or more. But we really were getting a high number of tickets issued and then the turnstile number, the people actually showed up to the game. So super appreciative of everybody come out. I think we're going to be exciting. We're going to be fun to watch, and really encourage people to just continue to come out and check this team out. You are going to be a part of this journey. There are so many new people in the lineup and so many, questions that we have to ask and have answered that I really think it's going to be a fun year.
Some of those big question marks, we've mentioned the middle blocker going in for Cole Hoagland. How about for Dimitrios Muklis now playing overseas? And, of course, Brett Sheward now setting over at UC Irvine. Of those three positions from last year into week 1, now to week 2, between Alakai Todd, also Kurt Neusterer, and Aliu Choi, how do you feel those three did this past weekend?
Really good. I felt good about it last year. We started Kurt in a match against UCLA in the final of the outrigger, and we won that match. I've said many times Aliu Choi was he was the best libero in the gym last year on like a daily basis for a while, just so dynamic and so fast. And Alakai Todd, even going back to when Rada was here, I remember a Saturday morning we were practicing in the arena. It had to be one of those like Friday, Sunday games where we were practicing in the Stan Sheriff Center. And Alakai had 11 kills in the first set against like the A team. He was and we were good. So we've seen him be really good for a long time, but to see those guys go out on the court and do it, live, real time, in a real match, it's great. And look, they've done it because of the amount of work they've put into it. They didn't just stumble in. These are guys that have bought into the program, ignored the transfer portal, not playing. Alakai 6 years into it and gets his shot, and he's ready to pay off. And I think we're all benefiting from the commitment that a guy like that's had to the program. Aliu Choi, 5 years into it, he's got an engineering degree. He comes back, keep playing. So that kind of stuff, that is a lot of what I'm talking about when there's a lot of things to get out there and support and be behind. And it's because of the amount of support that we get for the program that those people realize how important it is to them and how important it'll be to their lives going forward and being a part of the program. They stuck around. It wasn't worth leaving to go play for somewhere else, just chasing some additional playing time. That earning playing time in Hawaii is going to be meaningful to them and impactful for the rest of their lives, literally.
Again, 808-296-1420, the number to call or text in your question for head coach Charlie Wade. Coach, you talked about the setters and going back to Tread Rosenthal coming in a year early. You bring in a grad transfer in Kevin Calling, and with Austin Buchanan back with the program for another year. How has the setting been? How have those three been able to work together throughout fall camp and now coming into the first couple weeks of the season?
Well, I've said I think we hit the lottery when it comes to setter. We got three setters that there might not be another team in the world with 3 setters that are 6'8" and taller at any level. So that's been great. Ironically, as I say that, Tread's the only one available today. We've been practicing all week with only one. Austin got hit in the head on a serve in warm-ups the other night, and he's out with concussion protocol. And Kevin went down on Wednesday night with the ankle. And Kevin has been amazing, like in the practice gym, and just his maturity, his leadership, and what he has done with his ankle from Wednesday to today is like the trainers, everybody is really impressed. This kid is smart, driven, high pain tolerance, and he's going to be back so much faster than we ever would have thought. It's been really impressive. We're limited. We haven't been able to scrimmage all week, so we're not really doing any playing before our match going into tomorrow, but they'll both be back sooner than later, and we're in really good hands when it comes to the setting position right now.
Well, if you don't have a setter, could you throw in maybe Kupono Faye or Chad Giesman now that he's been promoted to an assistant coach?
No, we just do some out-of-system stuff and have Libero just set high balls on the other side. They're just not running the offense. It's a fair question, too, because I've been asked anywhere from my son, Makana, who said, like, who's the backup now? And I'm like, you. But it is a fair question, and I just don't have a great answer. We only have 3 on the roster. It might be Lua Sakanoko, who's
your Frenchman.
Played a lot of high-level volleyball, and if you're putting somebody out there that would just be comfortable getting there and putting a high ball out and not really trying to run a sophisticated offense, I think he could do a really good job.
You mentioned family. How awesome is it for you now that you've been here for 15 years that now your oldest, Makana, is now within the coaching staff? How awesome is that for you?
Yeah, it's great. It really is. Don't ask me a lot about it because I'll get emotional. But, then my son Kainoa is going to be coming and playing. It really is. It's pretty awesome.
Again, number 808-296-1420. We'll take our first break. Again, calls, texts, that's the number to call in as you're listening to Call the Coach here from Ruby Tuesday in the Moanalua Shopping Center. back to Ruby Tuesday in Moanalua here in the Moanalua Shopping Center. Tiff was here along with the coach, Coach Charlie Wade. Again, the number 808-296-1420. Call or text in your questions for our two-time Big West Conference Coach of the Year. And Coach, you mentioned the fall. You went to Irvine. You went down to San Diego. You played a couple matches, but you guys went to Japan as well in the fall. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, the Irvine was the year before. This year was San Diego. We went down there and played twice. We couldn't get Irvine. Long Beach, none of those guys would play us. You know, maybe there's the scheduling issue, but we always like to go play at the venues that we will play in our league season upcoming. We got some new guys on the roster. They haven't been there yet, so certainly Long Beach and Irvine were at the top of that list. San Diego was gracious enough to allow us to come down and play. And then, you know, once in 4 years, we can go as part of our fall camp. It's not the typical foreign tour that comes with a whole other set of rules and regulations and what you can do. But it's part of our fall training. And what a great experience, you know, getting Cole Hoagland playing for the Sakai Blazers and going and getting a chance to practice in their facility and then, you know, play against them. Awesome. And see Cole. And, you know, at the time we went there, I haven't followed it too much, but he was leading the league in blocking in the JVA. Wow. For a 6'4" boy from Waimanalo, just like balling out. So cool. And they were really good. They didn't play their guy. They're paying $1 million a year against us. They played their younger team, but it was super competitive and a lot of fun. And then we played Scuba University, who is the defending national championships in the men collegiate league there. So great. And, you know, just it really, I mean, it's an educational experience, cultural experience, really great with 9 new guys on the roster, great team bonding experience. So, you know, the fall, I thought with us bringing so many new guys in, it really was the right time to do something like that.
And for that's probably your biggest takeaway, is just getting that experience for all those new guys to get meshed together so quickly in the fall.
Yeah, and just spending time and, you know, getting discipline to move from point A to point B. That, you know, if you're running behind schedule, you're really slowing everybody down, and to understand that, you know, how to be a well-oiled machine, and we all move and integrate together, and you're always kind of conscious of, you know, making sure that you're contributing to the group and not pulling away from it.
Again, the number 808-296-1420. We do have a text that says, Coach, hi, who's the front runner for the second serving sub this season?
Yeah, it was Kevin going into last week. You know, he's been really good, and obviously, you know, he got kind of dinged up. And I think Lewis is going to be in that mode. Lewis is good to go this week. He will make his debut tomorrow night. I'm not really sure it's in a starting role, but we'll see him. So, you know, I've put Kai Taylor out there too. So it really will be kind of a mix of who are the outside hitters who aren't in the game, and then Kevin has had a really powerful serve and been really effective too.
You talked about Kevin calling that ankle injury pre-match warm-ups on Wednesday. You kind of briefly touched on the status for him, coming up for him maybe in a couple weeks. He's been really doing well at rehabbing, and the ankle's looking really well. Do you foresee him being a part of this week?
No, I don't think we're there yet. I think that'd be a little reckless. You know, could he go out and play? But it wouldn't be fair to him. And you know, one of the reasons he chose to come here is, you know, to play in a big-time program, have a chance to win a championship, but also to, you know, augment his resume and kind of his portfolio and get some game film of him playing at a high level. And so he absolutely will get a chance to start and play sets throughout the year. So he has kind of film and him playing on a really good team to help him secure a professional contract. You know, we have lots of contacts and lots of people that reach out are interested and want him to see him. So a little disappointing for him, I'm sure, that he's not available this week, because this would be a time where I absolutely would start and play him in some matches. So going forward, you'll get a chance to see Kevin calling play and set. You know, we toyed with the 6'2" for a while in the offseason and stuff. We could do it. And we could beat a lot of teams doing it. I'm not sure that's the formula that makes us the best team. And we might do it at some point. You might see it, but I don't think that's a kind of a long-term answer. And you know, part of it too, I'm somewhat reluctant to do anything that takes away from tread setting. He needs to be out there setting and, you know, hitting. Yeah, okay, he's not going to be a hitter, and I'd rather just give it to Kevin and let him run the 5-1 and go and let him do his thing. And it's also a nice investment in case, the same thing happens to Tread. Tread sprains the ankle. We need to get Kevin out there. So we've given Kevin the A side and let him run it, and he could be very, very effective at getting out there and running the first unit. So hopefully we get him back soon. I think it's at this point when he got hurt, it really was the most specific thing for me was, will he be ready to get on a plane with us on January 22nd or 23rd, whatever that Monday is, when we head to Indiana to play some big road matches at Purdue Fort Wayne and at Ball State. I think that question's been asked and answered. He's worked so hard in the short term to get that ankle ready. He probably will be back by the end of next week, and there's no question he's going to be on the plane with us. He's probably going to be in and get a few days, some quality practice in before we get to that point.
You mentioned Louis Sakanoko from Paris, France, 6'5" freshman, 20 years old. Very rare in the men's game do you get a mid-year transfer. He was a very late addition to this program. He was announced, early part of December. Came right before Christmas vacation. Talk about how you were able to get him into the program, and how has he looked so far?
Yeah, it really was a unique situation for us. We've never had a guy leave at the semester break, and we've never had a guy come in at the semester break. And this year we did both. Alexa Mandich came in the fall with an incredible resume. Played on the VNL roster. He played Champions League. He beat Rado in the final of the Serbian Super Cup last year, and he came in and he was in a battle to get on the court in the A side, B side stuff. And about a month into it, he came into my office and said, "Hey, I think I might be more comfortable just going and playing NAIA." And I'm like, "Really? Okay." And at that point, you can't unring the bell. And I was like, "Good idea." So he came to the U.S. to get a degree. Like I said, he's played Champions League. He's played in the VNL. He's played, against adult men for a long time. And he came here to get a degree. He crushed school in the fall. He committed to that. So that's what he wants. And I absolutely respect a guy for that, to keep that in perspective. So we had already been talking to Lewis about coming next year. And then when that kind of came into it, Lewis was scheduled to go and play in Canada in January. So I knew he was available. So I reached back out to him and said, "Hey, I know we're talking about you coming next year. Can you come now?" And absolutely. So that kind of went into hyperdrive. And that's a little bit of an oversimplification. The fact is, there's a lot of stuff that you got to do academically and through the NCAA and through admission process to get in the UH. I really appreciate everybody at UH did everything. And I don't think we, cut any corners or anything, but it was just very efficient. And he kind of had everything in the queue. He got in. I went there. He said he turned 20. I was there on December 2nd, which is his birthday, and it was his 20th birthday, which was kind of cool. And that's a match that he was practicing with the team that Colton Cowell is playing on. And Colton was one of the ones that reached out and said, "Hey, I think you got to take a look at this kid. Like, he's pretty talented." So it all went kind of fast and furious. We've never done it before, and then the NCAA and their, kind of Ouija board, how they make decisions. He got here and he wasn't quite cleared on just some paperwork. They kept kind of, with the break and the holiday and people weren't working, and then the time change going to Indianapolis. We thought he was going to be cleared on Wednesday last week, and he wasn't. But he's cleared today, or actually yesterday, and he'll be good to go. He will make his debut tomorrow night.
One question, we have a text before we go to our next break. It says, "Hi, Coach. Some teams wear active ankle braces to minimize their injury severity. Does it hinder performance? Could the team use these?"
Yeah, that's just something that, again, this may be one that I'm just old and I'm not as vigilant about it. But we used to be adamant about that. Everybody either had to have a brace or had to be taped. The data behind it doesn't really, putting tape on someone's ankle doesn't stop someone from coming under the net, right? It doesn't stop Kevin from landing on Chaz. But it does lessen the severity, and that's something that over time, I don't have the same perspective on it that I did 10 years ago. I think they could help, but at the end, we just haven't put that much time into it. And it has a lot to do with the comfort of the guys. If they've never played with it and it really makes them feel restricted, am I going to be the guy to say now that you absolutely have to do that when you guys never been hurt, it never really happened? So it's a fair question, and I think that would kind of delves into the category of we're talking more art than science.
More questions, more texts on the other side. We'll take another break. You're listening to Call the Coach from Ruby Tuesday Moanalua right here on ESPN Honolulu. Center. Thank you again for coming on down. We've had a lot of great texts, a lot of great questions as well. And for head coach Charlie Wade, we got another text for you, Coach. This one from Joyce. She says, Coach, any plans, two-part question, any plans to involve more of your middle blockers? And are there plans to play other people on the roster instead of Keone Thim? I'm not sure in what aspect, if it's more of an outside hitter, more of a serving sub.
Look, so for sure, we did a better job Friday from Wednesday getting the middles involved, and it's something that we keep talking to Tread about and working with him on. Tread played on, whether it was the national team or his club team that won the national championship, really left side hitter dominant. So when he's kind of programmed to set left front and middle back, right? He's done that a lot to great success. So And and it's a work in progress. So then come back. That was on Wednesday. He come back on Friday night, and he ran the middle grade. He set Guillermo a bunch, and he got the middles involved, and so that's progress. And we like to control the middle of the court, that middle bick, to really kind of stress the defense. That's always been a part of our kind of offensive philosophy, and will continue to be. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Louis Sakanoko is. He has played opposite, and but he is more a receiver attacker. They both will play this week, and I would say a fair amount. Like you'll see both of them, and then you start getting into whether it's Cole Ottmeyer or Kai Taylor, some of the young guys in the program that have already redshirted and now are available to go in the game, that you'll start to see some of those guys. But really, Keone and Lewis will be the ones that get in there. And it's always this balance between, getting the A-side guys out there and letting them play a fair amount to kind of refine and get the timing down a little bit in what is hopefully a little less leverage situation. And then getting the developmental piece, in which we've always erred on the side of getting more guys in, getting those guys that are going to be the future, that can add some depth to get them in. And I've always said, it's not depth unless you play it. And not all the coaches look like that. There's a lot of teams that we play against a lot that they never, with a capital N, never unload the bench. So we'll get. I think you'll see a fair amount of both Lewis and Keone tomorrow night and throughout the weekend.
Another one of those newcomers, they transferred from Jamestown, Oğuzhan Oğuz from Turkey, sophomore outside or opposite, over 4.5 points last year for Jamestown. How has his transition? I mean, he hasn't played yet on the D1 side, but how has it been for him? Because NAIA is one thing, but a high elite level Division I, that's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, I think he was, and ironically, he was roommates with Alexa, and I think they both were in the same boat. Like, dang, this is a whole big step up in the level of play and what it takes to get on the floor in practice, let alone in the game. So he struggled for a little bit, but he's been really good the last couple of weeks. I think you'll see him this week as well. And that's, again, that balance between, like, Alakai's worked so hard for so long. You want him to get out there. You want him kind of play through it. But we got to get Oğuzhan out there also to show what he can do and show all of us what he can do in that situation. So I don't think there's any question that I'll look for every opportunity to get him out there this week. He's looked really good at practice the last couple of weeks, so hopefully he continues that when I put him in the game. And I think we should have a chance to do that either tomorrow or Friday.
I have a couple of texts that have come in, and we have a lot of medical questions. I'm not sure why, Coach, but we have this one from a different texter from earlier. It says, Coach, is acupuncture a part of a player's regimen like cupping is?
It might be, but it's not any of ours. We don't have an acupuncturist on staff or anybody that's done that. We don't, I don't know of anybody that's doing a lot of that in our department. I'm not trying to discount it or anything. It's just not something that's really in our radar. We have, for the first time, we have a full-time physical therapist on staff this year, Chip Yamaguchi, who runs Stay Fit Physical Therapy right over here in IBEW, a guy that I've met over the last couple of years, and just a really, really effective and gifted physical therapist that he's at practice every day, and he's really taking good care of our athletes. He doesn't do the acupuncture stuff, but I'm like I said, I'm not discounting it. It's just not something that we've done a lot of.
Has that been something, talking about the acupuncturist, the physiotherapy, has that been more of a guys that have done it before, they're more comfortable with, or is it kind of just for guys that are, they want to try it out? How has that been working with him this year?
Well, Chip is one of the most talented physical therapists in the state. Like, there's no question. And back to the acupuncture stuff, it's just not something that I've ever heard of in my career. I'm not sure it's ever been used by the athletic training staff or the medical staff.
Again, a 28-match schedule for you folks coming in this year. This past week, obviously, you had Loyola. This week, you have coming in Emmanuel. When you guys do a scouting report, kind of switching gears here, when you do that scouting report, is it tough to have one for a team, say Emmanuel, who this is their first week? They didn't play last week. They just landed in Honolulu earlier today. They play you folks tomorrow. To kind of base upon like a scouting report or have filmed, you just mostly watch from last year, or how do you folks do that?
Yeah, and you got to give Kapono Fei. I mean, this is a great young coach that really is logging a lot of hours and working really hard. I was really impressed with the scouting report today that he put together for a team that has not played a match. He went and he dug out, and even last week against Loyola, they had number 28, the Czech kid that was playing outside, who's never played in a college game. He went and found recruiting tape on the internet and stuff. So we got to watch some film on him and got to see today. And he went back and looked at the guy. And actually, 2 years ago, their leading point scorer, a guy was injured last year, he went back and got tape on him and put it in. So, we'll scour the interwebs and do what we can to get what we can. As we get into the season and get into league and stuff, it really is much simpler because you have all the statistical data, all the video. We get 100 pages of analytics against every opponent. But in these first couple of weeks, there's not that much data to prepare for. And quite frankly, like going into a week like this, I'm really more concerned about what's happening on our side of the net. I really want to focus in on, how productive and how efficient we are.
Can we also get a hand for Coach Kapono Fei, because he recently got married this in the offseason in October. Now, did you give him any pieces of advice or one important piece of advice?
Yes.
What was that?
I'm not going to say it.
Happy wife, happy life, right?
Well, there's that. It's a bumper sticker. You can find that anywhere. But no, Kapono he's a rock star. Like I said, he's one of those guys that he is one of 3 players that I had. And while I'm coaching that guy, I'm like, not only do I think that guy is going to be a very good coach, it's like, I want that guy sitting next to me. I want that guy to be on our staff. And so far, we've got 2 of them, Josh Walker being the first, and then Kapono Fei, and I'll throw it out there, Joe Worsley. Like, that guy he's destined to be a great coach. And you just see the way they, as you talk about it when they're playing for you and how they see the game and their commitment and their work ethic. And, Kapono's doing an unbelievable job for us, and couldn't be happier that he's part of the program again.
A couple more texts that have come in here, Coach. We talked about the scheduling, and some may feel that it's maybe not elite like some other schools with like UCLA or Long Beach. You do your part to grow the game. You bring teams out. You go and play folks. Can you talk about the process of building the schedule? What's considered? How do you incorporate the meshing of competitive matches, growing the game with teams like who you have coming in this week? With Emmanuel, you take on Tusculum as well, Missouri S&T in the late part of February, and then the balance with home and away matches.
Yeah, how much time we got?
Oh, we got about 29 minutes or so.
Because this is something we could talk a lot about. Because look, we could go into there's a lot of layers to peel back from this, and I'll push back a little and start with, like, for decades, forever, everyone who's a volleyball fan on the West Coast, we had one league, and we had 13 teams. I think at one point we even had 14 teams in the league. So then you have 13 opponents. And when I joined the league, we had 13 teams, 12 opponents. That's 24 league matches. You are allowed, you cannot play more than 28 matches, right? So we host the Outrigger. That's 27. Done. There's no scheduling. And then as we started, we've seen the growth in men's volleyball, where we've added not only new teams, but entire new leagues. And then in 2018, we split the leagues. So for the hardcore fans that look at our schedule like, oh, why are we playing UCLA? And I think I sent me an email, and he's complaining because we only have 2 league opponents this year. And it's like, okay, that is completely out of our control. We only have 5 teams that we play in the league. 3 at home, 2 on the road. 3 on the road, 2 at home. That is just going to be like, so this year, we're an even-numbered year. We're going to have 2 at home. Next year is an odd-numbered year. We will have another 3 at home. So there's that part. And then the non-conference part where you're conditioned to see SC, UCLA, Stanford, everybody, every single time. It's not happening. Those days are gone. And if you go ahead and look at everybody else's schedule, go take your pick. Go look at SC, UCLA, BYU, or go look at all of them. They are all playing the same kind of teams we're playing because now we have Coastal Carolina and we have the
SIAC, you have the Conference Carolinas, NEC.
And NEC. We have 3 new leagues that are coming. They're all playing the same kind of teams. And I would say also look at our schedule and where I get a little defensive and, or just want to kind of bang the drum for what we do is like every team on our schedule is a legitimate Division I, Division II opponent. We are not playing the Canadian teams. We are not playing the NAIA teams. We are not playing the Division III teams. And everyone else is playing some of those. So even though you can go and look and count the dates, that doesn't count. It doesn't count towards the RPI and things like that. And then it's and then count the number of dates. We have a full 28-date schedule. You go look at every other team and how many teams actually have 28 dates? And then are they playing Hawaii? Because when you play in Hawaii, those games don't even count. So every team that plays at Hawaii, you should have 30. You should, if you're coming up and playing us 2 times, you should have 30. You get an extra date because it counts towards our schedule. It doesn't count towards your schedule. And then there's another part of this where it's look, just the mathematics and the logistics of when we go play teams, they're multi-year agreements, right? Years in advance. My boss, and it's not just Greg Angelis, but everybody, we are always going to play the majority of our games at home. Period, end of story. They want me to have from 17 to 19. And if we could have 21, they'd probably want that more because we generate revenue for the department. We sell tickets. People want to come watch. They want me to play as many games as possible at home. I get it. We have to do that, right? So we're bringing these teams in. But those agreements are, like I said, multi-year. You're talking about all right, I will agree to, Ball State came out last year. Guess what? We're going back to play Ball State this year. So those things come into it. And then if there's just a kind of a free weekend where it's all right, we have the Pacxa on the schedule where it's okay, we can put somebody in here. Does your Pacxa match up with my Pacxa? Because it's we may only have a couple dates that was okay, I'm already playing Stanford on that weekend, or I'm playing we're on the road, or however it works. It is an oversimplification for those that think well, how come we don't play SC, UCLA, BYU every year? It's not like that. It's never going to be like that again. We will always play those teams. We currently do, but you're not going to see all of them every single year. And then from the grow the game aspect of it too, it's that's a real thing. We're encouraging people to add not only new teams but entirely new leagues. And if nobody ever goes to their place and plays them or brings them out, and everybody's going on the road, it's that's really valuable. I'm telling you right now that bringing those teams out to the Hawaiian and playing for us is even maybe more valuable because I always encourage them, bring your athletic director. Come look what men's volleyball is at a big-time level. And they show up and go, holy shit, you got more people here than we get for a men's basketball game. This is amazing. And it's an event, right? So bringing those teams out to come play us, and it's and like I said, bring your AD. Look at this. Let's try to really grow the game. Show your boss what big-time men's volleyball looks like. Not in your gym, where you guys are going to get whatever and we're going to show up and it's going to be this crowd ever. Yes, I will do that as well. But come out here and see what it's really like.
So
did I answer the question?
I think you did. But
we could have a whole show on that. I know we said we have 6 of those, but we could go on and on about that because there's this. I get this all the time. I think there's this gross oversimplification of oh, well, you're not playing because of this or because of that or whatever. It's I've been doing this a long time. You look
15 years.
You look at our RPI every year.
Top 5.
Right. Every single year. We're I get it. And, oh, by the way, we play in what has been the best league. This year, I got 6 games on the road at Long Beach, at Irvine, at San Diego. These are all like, if not top 5, top 15 teams that we have to go on the road and play. We'll be okay. If it was the other way where it's like, wow, you're not even close on the RPI, that's not, you can be critical all you want, but I think your criticism should be based in reality. And the reality is people just don't understand all of the intricacies and all of the metrics that it takes to really put together a quality schedule. There's another part of this, and we don't have to go into it right now, but men's volleyball has switched, and this is the work of David Matlin. We are using now the KPI versus the RPI, and I can tell you right now that I talk to the top college coaches, and when I ask them what's the difference, they cannot answer the question because they don't know. I know very well because with work with my what is now former athletic director David Matlin, that the KPI is now, it is a more relevant data point. We can talk about that because as you build your schedule, it's okay, you want the fans and you want to look at whatever, but really you are trying to do the best for your team, that if it so happens that we don't win the league championship, that we're best positioned to get the at-large bid. And I see people, being critical of us, and it's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I know this. I've been doing this for a lot longer than these other guys have, and it's something that, like I said, we're pretty good at, and we can talk about scheduling a lot.
More on scheduling and your opponent coming up for this week as we'll take our final break as you're listening to Call the Coach from Ruby Tuesday Moanalua right here on ESPN Honolulu. Ruby Tuesday here in the Moanalua Shopping Center. Tiff here along with head coach Charlie Wade. Again, want to thank Hawaiian Financial FCU for Life being a proud sponsor of our Call the Coach show. One of 6 coaches we have here in 2024. Final segment, second week of the season. We talked about Emmanuel, a team that hasn't played a match this season, although Kupona Fe basically did your entire scouting report looking at film and whatnot from their last season. A couple guys for them that have done pretty well last year. They didn't do that well as a team. 8-20, preseason number 8 in the Conference Carolinas. What do you know about this team coming in?
Yeah, we watched the film today. They got some arms. They're decent, not huge size. And look, the end of the day, this time of year we are absolutely 100% focused on our side of the net. We got some injuries, and we're trying to integrate guys in the lineup. We are way more focused on our side of the net than theirs.
What are you mentioned?
And I will say there's something unique about them in men's volleyball, at least what they've done in the past. We haven't seen them this year. Almost everybody float serves. So you will see a very high percentage of inbounds, which means we'll have to pass the floater well and pass that hit, but we should rack up a lot of kills because they won't be handing us just free points. All of our points will be earned one way or the other. So whether we're earning those on kills and blocks, I would think their serving efficiency is very high. Literally 6 of 6 on float servers. Very, very unique in men's volleyball. Last
week, you folks went 1-1 on sort of an uncharacteristic early season. Lost. The opening week of the season. 1-3 the first night, lost in 5 on the second night. Coming into week number 2, you take on a team in the Conference Carolinas. Outside of the wins, which you hope to get both this week, what are you looking for going from week 1 into week 2?
Yeah, like I said, we're going to integrate some of the guys in the lineup and kind of see what they can do in some extended time. One of my favorite lines about it's not depth unless you use it. I want to get some guys out there because we have a lot of question marks, and we played who we played, but we've got a lot of guys that have worked really hard that have the ability to contribute and contribute at a high level. We have some guys that haven't played or haven't played much that really could factor in and be in full-time starters by the end of the year. So, this for us is focus on our side of the net. Can we control the serving efficiency is something that we preach forever. The first night we served amazing. Tread Rosenthal, Alakai Tau. We had a number of guys that didn't miss any serves at all. Everything reverts to the mean. Second night out, it was more of a struggle. So, and recognize that what we've talked about is situational awareness. Recognize when the guy in front of you is missed, it kind of pushes it towards you a little more. There's a higher sense of responsibility for you to create a point scoring chance, which infers that you will put the ball in pounds. If 2 guys in front of you miss, then it really is like, buddy, you got to put it in play. So I look to, hope our serving efficiency is better, and just getting some guys out there in some live time, real bright lights, big city. Let's see what we can do when you get extended time, not just coming in off the bench and can you give us a boost, late in a match or late in a set, but can you start and get out there and perform and play at a level where, what I've said, I think we got the pieces to not only be a really, really good team, I think we still have the pieces to be the best team at the end of the year, but we got a lot of work to do to get there.
Again, matches Wednesday, Friday, 6:45, our pregame show. First serve just about a little after 7 o'clock, 7:05. And we mentioned the crowd on this past Wednesday, over 4,400 against the number 10 team in the country in Loyola, Chicago. Think we can get that number for this week for Wednesday and Friday?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm never, we are just so appreciative of the people that come out there and support. And Friday night was even amazing. Like I said, I talked about from tickets issued to the turnstile thing. All I can say is how much it means to the guys in our program. This is why the Keone Thims, the Aleo Choi's, Alakai Todd sticks around for 6 years to represent this state, to get out there and put a show on for people that have supported him literally his entire life to come out there. So we're going to continue to work hard. We're going to put the best product we can on the floor and hope people keep coming out and supporting, because it really does matter. It really is the wind in our sails, and it gives us the confidence, and it helps in those tight places in the match. And it really is for the guys. It's the off-season stuff. When they walk in and see crowds like that, It really helps them play in the moment, and it is the motivation that drives them throughout their careers and in the off season.
Again, week number 2 matches this week, Wednesday and Friday. You folks take on Emmanuel University out of Franklin Springs, Georgia, member of the Conference Carolinas. Week number 2, it's already here. A couple of days after week number 1, obviously.
Yeah, we start saying that, like around the middle of October when we're done. It starts going pretty fast, and from here it goes really fast. I heard somebody say the other day, like, it's kind of like raising kids, It's like the years go by really fast, but the days go by slow. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and then you end up being done at the end of the year. But just know that we are absolutely grinding it every day and putting everything we can into putting a product on the floor and preparing us to go out there and compete each and every week.
Again, this is the first of 6 Call the Coach shows here from Ruby Tuesday in Moanalua. Our next show, January 30th. We hope you can make it on down here. For Coach Charlie Wade, for Keegan Ota, for Cole Malsoff, as well as Liz Stacy back in our ESPN studios, Tiff Wells saying so long, aloha. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on January 3rd. Hope to make you at the arena Wednesday and Friday for Rainbow Warrior Volleyball. As you've been listening to Call the Coach.
Aloha.